On your feet! Get them going!
Hi. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller, here once again to talk to you about the Bible. Hey, if you are watching this after the fact, because we do this as a live stream every day, but I noticed that so the live stream we get a moderate number of viewers, maybe 15, sometimes 20, but I noticed that like 100 people watch this. So there's like 80 of you watching this later than the live stream. Could you drop a comment and let me know I don't know why you don't catch the live stream, or just let me know you're there and how you caught this channel and how much do you actually watch the whole thing, or do you just like, watch 5 minutes? Are you just dropping in, seeing what I'm saying, and then noping out? Whatever it is. I'd really, really like to hear from the not live stream audience. Hi, live stream audience. I love you too. But from the not live stream audience, I would love to hear, like sort of how you're watching this or how you're experiencing this. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know, please, if you would be so kind. And if you are here live, smash that like button, would ya? DJ says, I feel so second rate now. I'm sorry. Let's say hi. Hello, DJ. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Tina. I'm guessing it's because many people work during the day, Mike. Hey, there's a thought. Wait, are you trying to say I'm not working? Oh, yeah, that's right. Amy says, come say hi sometime, Mystery Bible friends. Yes, indeed. Hey, hello, Amy. Hello, Dennis. Our Scott DJ. John Moon says, I live like a hermit. No friends or family here. It was nice to be with my church family. Oh, what is up, John? And did I miss anybody else? I'm scrolling all the way back up to before this thing started. How was your Thanksgiving? Got up at 6:30. Had to dump the turkey out of the brine. It took me like way longer. I thought I'd be able to do this in like 20 minutes, but I had to dump the turkey out of the brine. I had to wash the turkey, get all that brine out of it and whatnot. Stuff it with onions and garlic. And then what I do is I separate the skin from the back and I fill that with butter. And then I put olive oil over the top of the skin, and then I do all the spices. And okay, first of all, it cooked way faster than the instructions suggested. And then my son was like an hour later than he was supposed to be there. So it was there for like 2 hours after the fact. But I mean, it was still good. The meat was delicious. It was a little bit dry, but then I dripped the drippings over the turkey after I sliced it all up. So it was quite good. It was quite delicious. The dark meat was, that's why I love dark meat. It's never dry. Well, unless you really, really screw up a turkey, it's never dry. But it was very, very, I'm a dark meat guy, so I just ate up the dark meat. And then we had this huge setup in the living room because we have not just my family now. We have my family, and then we have Eden's husband, and then we have Elijah's family comes over for dinner for Thanksgiving, and my wife's family. So we had like 2 long tables put together in the living room. It was a lot of people. Hi, Elliot. How was your Thanksgiving?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
It was great, man. It was great. A lot of food, probably more than I should have. Diabetes was angry at me.
I didn't touch the mashed potatoes. Oh, that's another thing that happened. So I guess my son made the mashed potatoes at his house, and then like I guess his strainer, like wires came out of the strainer. So he comes over here and he grabs one of our strainers and he strains all the mashed potatoes again through another strainer. That took like a half an hour because he made like 10 tons of mashed potatoes.
Why do you do that?
And then Isaac, his first bite of mashed potatoes, wire.
Oh no! Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, that's bad. But ow, good. Except for my finger.
What happened?
I was cutting an orange for sangria with a fillet knife, I have a wonderful brand new fillet knife that is razor sharp, and the point is very pointy. And I pointed that point right into my finger, right to the bone. I think I hit the bone because it's
Why? Why would you
one
do
of those
that?
pleasant. Why would I do that? Because I'm an idiot, Elliot. Because I'm an idiot.
Well, not more than me. You
Tell
got
me
that to
about
look for.
your Thanksgiving experience.
I mean, we did it. It was very low key here with myself, my wife, my son, and his girlfriend were doing other stuff, and so it was just me and my wife for ourselves. She was just wanted to relax and keep it simple. And then I went to my parents, and that's where there was a lot of festivities going on. I got there just in time for them to start eating. So,
well, wait a second. Does your wife not like your parents?
yeah, but we were expecting to have other people, and they couldn't make it. So, it was just.
Well, you had two Thanksgivings, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I ate my main meal here with my wife, and then over there I just had some eggnog and dessert. And the eggnog, I love me the eggnog, though. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, that confectionery goodness is so good.
I did have a piece of pumpkin pie, so
I had that and apple
a
pie,
handful of Brussels sprouts.
And I know RFK is mad at me, but I don't care. I had it anyway.
Well, welcome back to Cross Examinations, Elliot. It's been a coon's age since you've been here.
Wait a second. That doesn't sound right.
It is right, and I will not be dissuaded from using it properly.
Giggle.
A coon's age, Elliot.
Akuma?
No.
Yeah.
Raccoon. Because
I know.
Yeah.
I know the saying. I know.
But do I have to explain it? No.
No. You're wasting.
Everyone is excited about your nog in the chat. Not your noggin. Your nog.
The eggnog floweth.
Hey, Wrangler's here. Joe K is here. What is up, everybody? Tina says Thanksgiving is about as American as one can get. I'm sure RFK makes exceptions. Yeah, you don't think RFK's in there stuffing his face on Thanksgiving?
Not with red number 5 or 40 or whatever it is.
I know.
That's okay.
It's the same chemical in that straw, probably.
But I don't want to use those stupid paper straws that would make my mouth feel a little weird.
Oh, I hate those things. Do you know what they used to make red out of? Red dye? What? You don't know these?
Love?
Bugs.
What?
Bugs.
What are you talking about?
So in Mexico, there are these little bugs that make their homes on those the cactus leaves that are like the big paddle-shaped cactus leaves.
Uh-huh.
So these little bugs, they make their little homes on there, right? And then they farm them and they hang them and they let them breed on the things, and then they scrape them off the cactus leaves. They kill them somehow. I think they just die because you scrape them off the cactus leaf. And then they let them dry, and then they grind them into a powder. And
I don't mind that.
It makes red dye. This is the dye. This is the dye. Mexico became the #1 producer of red dye, apparently, in the world, because those English fellows in their red coats.
Word.
You know where they got their dye?
Mexico.
Mexico.
Well,
Made
listen,
Hencho and Mexico.
I don't have any problems with eating bugs
Eat the bugs, says Joe.
as long as they taste yummy.
I would rather eat the bugs than the petroleum-based red dye that they make now that you're putting in your mouth.
This is true. Listen, I'm just saying they used to crush up all kinds of flowers for paints, probably bugs for paint.
Yep.
You know, when you're mixing stuff up, you're playing with bugs. I don't know. I'm fine with that. I just don't.
As long as I
want
don't
them
know.
crawling. I don't know. I don't need to know.
I
Put
don't
them in
need
the
to know.
paste.
Yeah.
Do the paste thing that you guys have been promising us.
Yeah. What if you found out that they were grinding up cockroaches to make your pumpkin pie?
I have to go like this, like if I was Catholic. I don't know, man. That's a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
Pumpkin pie is pretty good. Well, like I said, if it's yummy, I'll eat it.
Yeah. What if they were grinding them up and putting them in your eggnog?
Oh man.
And they always have been.
Gulp, gulp.
And they never told you.
Gulp, gulp. just keep it flowing. Just keep it flowing.
The bug is good for you. So they were wearing dead bugs. Yeah, isn't that interesting to find out? The things that you don't know could fill a book.
Well, I guess. I mean, don't they? I don't know. I suppose that's gross. I mean, I really hate roaches, but I feel like I would. I don't know. I guess that's it. You know, I if I don't know, if it won't hurt me.
I've never seen this clip again since I saw it when it like either happened or it was just a clip on. But do you remember way back in the day? I think it was Johnny Carson. And he's either Johnny Carson or David Letterman. No, I think it was David Letterman. And you know how they'd have those like animal wrangler people on there sometimes, like people from the zoo and stuff. Well, this I think it was a chick had Madagascar caterpillar or not roaches, Madagascar roaches.
Yeah.
On and like crawling on her, and I think it was Dave's just like, oh, that's disgusting. He's like, and she's like, no. In Africa or whatever, they eat these for food. And he's like, no, they don't. And she's like, yeah, they do. And she grabs it and she bites its head off. And Dave just like freaked out. He's like, no, and like shut. He's like, go to commercial. Like he didn't want to see.
I was not expecting you to say that at all.
I know. I wish
That's
I could find
horrible.
the clip. Someone find me that clip. It was so freaking funny. It was like, well, that was out of left field.
No, man, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do it if it's alive. I can't eat anything that's alive. I'm perfectly fine. No, shrimp. I can't even do that. No, I can't do that either.
So at my mom's old restaurant, hey, Buddy Rabbit says, hey, they're already putting bug additives in our food and have been for years. Shrimp are basically just sea bugs anyways, right? And so they
but they have meat to it though, right?
Technically, this isn't illegal. Technically, this is illegal.
Technically, it is illegal?
It is or is not. Technically, it is or is not illegal.
That's a very non-statement.
I believe in California, you're not supposed to serve live food.
Oh.
I think it's a rule.
That's probably
obviously that's not a rule in Japan. You've seen all the videos, right?
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos.
Yeah, have you seen the chick like eating the octopus while it's alive and it's like sticking to her face trying to fight her off, and she's just like, no. Anyways, at my mom's restaurant, they had amaebi, which is sweet shrimp, but they had a tank so that they were alive, right? So what he would do, Masa, he would get the shrimp, he would cut the tails off, prepare the tail for sushi, and then serve the tail and the live heads going. So the tail is still right there on the, and you just So good.
So they're
Fresh
watching their
delicious.
oppressors.
Yeah. And then they take the heads back and they deep fry them, right? And they bring them out. Oh, you've never had? Next time you go to sushi, order ama ebi. They bring you the head deep fried. It's like chips. It's like potato.
Oh
It's a
no.
wonderful, wonderful treat.
It's a wonderful
Yes.
treat.
They're delicious. They're delicious.
Oh,
What do you Puerto Ricans eat that's weird? Cats? No, that's Haitians.
I'm sure we eat a lot
That's
of weird
Haitians.
stuff. I was
Wait a
just talking
second.
about that
How far is
yesterday.
Puerto Rico from Haiti? You guys eat cats too?
I don't know. I think they're doing it out of necessity, though. They're not doing it's not a delicacy.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
No, I'm sure it's.
No.
I'm sure they're not.
It's not.
I'm sure they're not. No.
They have them in the grocery stores. It's not necessity.
No, they do not.
They do. They're right
Oh.
next to the freaking chicken wings.
Look, listen, I don't mind that. I don't care if they.
You
eat
want to
cats.
hear? You want to hear a funny story about this? Because I was
I just don't
watching.
want to eat cats.
I was watching some Haitians being talking about this. And okay, so the one guy, he lived, I think, in Springfield or somewhere in America. The other guy, he was his cousin, was fresh there from Haiti, had just gotten there from Haiti,
Oh,
and then
gosh.
a third Haitian guy too.
This is going to get me in trouble.
So he was interviewing his friend or his cousin that had just gotten from Haiti. He's like, so do they eat cats in Haiti? He's like, oh yeah, sure. They're at the grocery store. They're right next to the chicken wings. It's like everyone eats cats there. It's just not everybody. He says like 80% of the people eat cats. And then the funny part was, well, then how come all the Haitians are getting so mad about what Donald Trump said? And he goes, we don't eat dogs.
We just eat the other pets.
We just eat the cats. We eat the cats. We don't eat the dogs. Come on.
Oh, that's funny.
What kind of monsters do you think we are? So no, it is not out of necessity. And
so they were only half angry.
He was saying if you're in Haiti and you just see a cat like walking around, it doesn't matter if it's somebody's pet. If you just see a cat walking around, you grab it and you eat it. I mean, you don't
here's
grab
the thing.
it.
Do they have a lot of
and you prep it?
Do they have that much meat on their bones? They don't look like they're very meaty animals.
Probably
I mean,
like a rabbit. Probably like a rabbit.
I was just gonna say I've never eaten rabbit either, but probably for the same reason. Or squirrel.
Rabbit's a little.
We've eaten squirrel.
I only had one piece of rabbit. It was really tough. I think that's why you have to make a Hassenpfeffer out of it, like really slow cook it or something to soften up the meat.
Okay. What about squirrel? That's been eaten here in the United States.
Sure.
That's gross.
Are we going to talk about peanut?
It's peanut.
Peanut.
Okay, I'm good now. Oh,
I eat squirrel though. Yeah, let's try it.
Would you eat it? Would you eat squirrel?
Heck yeah. Why not?
I wouldn't eat it.
Why? Because it's cute.
But I also wouldn't eat frogs' legs either.
I've had frogs' legs.
Yeah, people eat that stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care if people eat dogs or cats. I just don't want you to eat my dog.
Yeah.
I don't.
You ever see the video of the one-armed guy in China with the frog? If you know what I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm talking about from that description. So he's in this Chinese supermarket, and they have a bin of live frogs, and he's a one-armed guy for some reason, and he grabs one of the bullfrogs out of the bin, and he just bites his head off, starts eating it, and then starts slurping up its guts. And I'm like, I should show this to Ethan.
Oh man, no, that's terrifying too, man. I can see that's the thing, man. How can this the thing with the invention of fire? Can we just please cook a thing?
Cook
Do
the
you
frog.
have to cook the frog at least?
But
at least
not
it
the
changes
shrimp. My Abby's raw. You have to eat the tail raw.
I don't think I could do that. I don't like. I'm a little weird about shrimp in the first place. Yeah.
Shrimp is what?
He just had spaghetti. What are you talking about?
Spaghetti. Don't eat anything beloved and you're good. Like 2 Samuel 12. What if you're Indian? You cannot have hamburgers.
That's true. They don't eat hamburgers. They're not. I mean, and they're probably thinking we're gross for eating cheeseburgers. But I'm gonna eat cheeseburgers.
Not if you're Jewish. Speaking of which, I made a metaphor about Judaism.
Okay. What you mean metaphor?
Before this is Judaism versus Christianity. Judaism is like bowling with the guardrails up.
Okay. Explain that.
The law is there to keep you in the lane, right? The law is so you don't gutter your ball, right? And Judaism puts those guardrails up to bound, and the law, it's the law, right? It keeps you from running off the rail. But God
But
doesn't.
Did it really though? Did it really keep him from getting off the rail?
Let me finish my analogy, please.
Okay,
I'm in the middle of an anecdote.
Continue. Go
All
on.
right. Does Jesus want you to? No. Okay. What Jesus wants from you is a strike, right? If you're following what Jesus wants, you're aiming for the middle to get a strike. You're not worried about the guardrails because the spirit of the guardrails is to keep you going straight. Right? Am I right? It's good, right? I came up with that.
Okay.
No?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Why?
Because as you stated several times recently in an ugly tone, I'm a Calvinist. So I believe we've already lost the game.
Or have we already won the game?
In a certain sense, sure. But not because of me, not because I followed the law, but because he did in my place. And I know you agree with that.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. What?
Aha.
It was meant to be. Sorry.
Wow. Oh, I know that. Of that, I'm sure. Of that, I'm sure. Go on. This is your show. Pretty soon I'll be doing my adjacent cross-examination show.
Buddy is your Calvinist friend here. He says, well, you don't aim for the middle. You aim for 1 and 3 or 1 and 2 for your strikes. All right, because nobody hits the middle, buddy. You get the point, right? Did we just start up the Calvinist debate again? I know. I had Doug on here 2 days ago, and we went through this. He's a Calvinist too now. Now too. So he's like you, Elliot.
Oh yeah? That's great.
Okay, so what were you? What's wrong with my analogy?
Nothing. It's fine. From your view, is fine.
And what's wrong with it from your view?
Nothing. I just told you it's fine. It was meant to be. Your view is fine. It's okay. God remembers that you're clay, Michael. That's all I say. But go on. All right. So, yes. Woo!
This is all the turkey I have left from my last batch. I was honestly intending on sending you some from this batch. I meant to from this batch.
You're missing the mark again. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's a good thing we have those guardrails.
I'm so glad. I'm glad you do.
All right. Does anybody in the chat? What? Guardrails. Strikes. Right? He wants us to The spirit of the law is to make the strike. The guardrails are there to make sure we don't. All right. Today we're doing Exodus chapter 4.
I need to pull up
DJ says, yes, Mike, guardrails. Drake says, yay, bowling.
Were we Exodus 4?
You mean bumpers? Yes, bumpers. Buddy is saying, I bowled in a league. My average was around 220 to 30. So, Buddy, you should understand this new parable.
The kingdom of God is like Tampa lanes.
He's like,
or your local lanes.
roll with it.
Literally.
Roll with it. Roll with it. So if
rolling.
Jesus was around today and bowling was around today, don't you think he would have used that analogy?
I'm glad he came when he did.
Because
life was much simpler.
Yeah.
Because then he'd have to be more complicated today. Like, all right, I'm talking to the gamers. Life is like Pac-Man. Or the kingdom of God is like Donkey Kong. You just got to keep jumping and hammering away. How complicated would this Bible have been if he had come any later than he did? It's pretty unfortunate the way it is. All right, so what we got here?
Okay.
What's
all right.
our discussion about today, sir? Since I'm new to this section.
I'm just going through Exodus. The chat decided we should do Exodus since I finished up our I was doing this daily devotional book from my church, The Rising Sun, and then I finished, and then we're like, what should we do next? And the chat decided Exodus, so we're on Exodus chapter 4, and we get through as much as we can. If we do 2 chapters, that's fine too. But we probably want Exodus chapter 4 is pretty long. It's 31 verses, but there's a lot of stuff in here. Buddy Rabbit and you are gonna love it because this. I think this is the one where they go. It says he will harden Pharaoh's heart. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, but I will harden his heart. So. I didn't want to have another day talking about Calvinism, but geez.
Don't talk about it. Just go with what you got, man. I'm not here to disrupt your flow. I'm here to I'm your co-host today.
Yes,
as fallible as I am.
100 equals bad for me. Now they're all just talking about bowling. See what you did, Elliot.
I even brought up Pac-Man and Donkey Kong.
I know.
And they're not biting. This is a bowling
throwing
crowd.
Us right in the gutter.
Yeah, I see what's going on. I see what's happening here, and I'm getting blamed for it, as it was meant to be.
I remember there's a joke about bowling about how it's the favorite sport for it's the most anti-racist sport or something like that, because you have one big.
That's
you have
funny.
one big black ball, and you get to knock down 10 white pins. Except for I haven't seen a black ball. They're always like green and orange and pink.
But they were probably black when they first came out.
Right.
That's just we got creative. They're no longer black; they're colored.
Elliot, do you want to do the reading since you have a much more melodic voice than this nasally thing that I got coming out of my nose? And if you have anything you want to pause on, that's the spirit. Let it go. And if likewise, I will pause you if I have a point to make.
I'm sure you will, Michael. I'm sure you will.
I will.
Here we go. Starting at verse 1. Moses answered, "What if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" Then the Lord said to him, "What is that in your hand?" "A staff," he replied.
What version are you reading?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not reading your sacred text. Hold on. I just pulled up Bible Gateway. It just happened to have NIV.
It's on the screen. Are you not looking at the screen?
No, I'm reading it out here. I can't see that. Oh, okay, I'll read it your words. Okay. And the Lord said unto Joshua, "Shout, for I have given thee the city, And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they would say, The Lord hath
Accent.
not appeared unto thee. What? That's how you're supposed to read the King James. In a British accent. What's wrong with you? And this is the best one I got.
10 white pins with red necks.
Tis true. Tis true.
It's true.
And
Now
the
they-
Lord said unto him,
All right.
What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. Is that good?
Yeah. Did you
Right.
see the thumbnail for this?
No.
It's
Was it a snake?
it's Moses holding a snake going.
That's funny. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand. I had to say thine hand because I've always heard it like that from people.
Thine hand.
And take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. Is this where the snake handlers get their text?
Yeah, they grab the snake by the tail.
I think so. That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob hath appeared unto thee. I always bring up that verse there, or those words, because God says it a lot in the Old Testament. But I think it's a learning
Abraham,
tool.
Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah, I think it's a learning tool. It's a repetition thing. That's why we use it so much in our cultures and civilization.
Yeah, but
And
we don't. They
What?
did.
No, we do. We just use it for other things.
What?
Like Trump is a.
Oh, you mean we use repetition?
Yeah, it's just the same. It's the same tool. But God, that's why. Because I used to think, why does he keep saying that? We already heard that, but I forgot.
Well,
they didn't have a book. We do.
Also, he uses it, and I say this all the time. So sorry, chat, but Elliot hasn't been here for a while. He delineates when Israel is being obedient or being disobedient. When they're being obedient, he calls them Israel. When they're being disobedient, he calls them Jacob.
Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
And that's interesting. In a couple of verses earlier, he calls them both in the same sentence.
Mm.
And I'm like, what is that about? It's like...
He remembers that we are clay. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. Eek. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood unto the dry land. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servants, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. Not for nothing, but he could have just said, I can't do it. But so for someone who's slow of speech, he sure said a lot. And the Lord said unto him,
he was trying to, explain himself to God.
This is almost like he was stuttering.
He was
just
justifying.
Yeah.
He was justifying his refusal.
He was doing a Porky Pig. And the Lord said unto him,
and then the Lord pulls the Job on him right here, right?
Uh-oh.
Like he treated Job.
Who
hath made man's mouth?
Yeah. Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? There you go. That's an interesting verse there, Michael. Now therefore go. That's not God that does it. That's because that's something else. Oh, that's funny because God takes credit for a lot of stuff. Huh?
That's really weird that you didn't want to talk about Calvinism, and now here, like,
I didn't even mention Calvinism.
you don't have to say the word.
I've just heard people say that. I just thought that was a great spot for that. It's weird. It's weird how God says he's just reaffirming that he's God. It turns out, who will thwart his plans? Not me. And he said, "Oh my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him who thou wilt send." Wait, did I read that first part? Last part?
No,
Wait.
you didn't.
Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. And he said, "Oh my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him who thou wilt send." That's interesting. Some of God's will again. That's really. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, "Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well, and also behold, he cometh forth to meet thee, and when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth, and I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God."
What just happened?
There's a lot of like walking with mouths.
What just happened?
What just happened? Tell me.
God goes to Moses. God says, "Moses, I want you to go be my voice and go tell the people." Moses says, "Biddy, biddy, 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 I can't do it, sir." Sorry, that's probably the wrong way to say that.
This is why, Michael. This is why. Go
And
on.
God says, "But I made you the way you are." And then he says, "Why don't you have somebody else do it?" And then God says, "Well, how about your brother? Your brother talks really well.
No, God
How
didn't ask
about
him how
how
about your
about
brother.
you? How about you put your word? I'll tell you what to say. You tell Aaron what to say, and then Aaron will be the spokesman unto the people."
First of all, God didn't say.
What just happened there?
But God didn't say, "What about your brother?" He's not asking, "What do you think about
No,
this?"
he didn't. But what did he say first? "Moses, you do this." Moses said, "I can't do that."
Uh-huh.
God says, "Okay, I'll have your brother Aaron do it for you." What just happened to the will of God, Elliot?
This was
Did Moses have free choice?
this was all part of
Did
his. Yeah,
Moses have a
yes,
choice
he
to
did.
refuse God?
He
And
did.
so God says, "Well, okay,
Because
we'll use your brother instead."
because man always chooses against God. Always. Every time. Even the best of us in pristine creation
But we can't.
couldn't resist. So what does he have to do? He has to insert himself and his
You never
will
noticed that
upon
before,
our
did
will.
you? You always thought it was Moses, but I was listening to this today. I'm like, holy crap.
Well,
He
no,
just-
even
he
I
just-
see it. I see it as that's was part of the thing all along. Of course it is. Why would you think of it any differently?
Because I just read it.
That's funny because the creator of the whole entire universe,
Mhm.
who just spoke and molecules appeared to obey him,
Mhm.
he's just like, "Oh, gee, I sure hope Moses does a good job. Oh, Mosey, I sure hope you follow my plan. Because if you don't," he's wringing his hands in heaven, going, gosh, gee, if Mike doesn't do this."
So what you're saying is, rather than God saying, "Moses, can you go work with your brother?" He instead he says, "Moses, I want you to do this thing." Moses says, "I can't do this thing." And God didn't know he was going to say he couldn't do that thing. Why would he?
God already
You know what?
knew.
I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm doing what
You're arguing my argument.
I'm doing what I always tell people not to do, is ask the why would God questions.
Right, you can't really ask. You can't ask it like that.
You can't answer the why would God questions, but
What
it's
you
just
can
funny to
say,
me. The series of events here is God tells Moses to do a thing. God says, "I can't do that thing," and then God says, "Okay, we'll have Aaron do it."
I don't think that's how it went, though. I think
It's right there. I literally just read it. You literally just read it out loud.
I understand that, but God is not waiting for Moses to make a choice here. So what God does is like he already knew. He's already planning for Aaron to show up. Like, look, go do the thing. And then Moses says, "But I don't wanna. I don't wanna." All right, go do the thing like I told you to do. And he's like, "Oh, but what about this? What about that? Look, just do it. I didn't tell you that your sister's going to be there to give you the bucket that I need for you to finish the job. Just go. I just told you to do it. Just do it." That's all he's saying to him, Moses. Just do it. But the most important thing here is not even that God is requiring him even to believe, just to be obedient. Just do it. Just show up like he does later on with Israel. It's like, just show up and you'll see what happens. But we can't go in there. This is
all still preamble to him showing up.
Yeah, but this is also like what happens when the 10 spies go into the promised land, and he's like, we can't go in there. There's giants over there. And then Aaron's like, is it Aaron? Joshua's like, yeah, but dude,
and Caleb,
they got giant grapes, and they got
huge tracts.
It's a land, milk and honey flowing everywhere. You could surf on that, whatever. Like, yeah, but there's giants. He goes, yeah, but didn't God say just do it? So they just had the foresight to see that God had answers, but that didn't mean that there wasn't actual problems there. He just said, "Don't do it. Just be obedient. Just shut your mouth and go do it. Shut up and do what I said." That sounds like a dad. But I see your position there. Of course, from our side of heaven, that's what that looks like. But from his side of heaven, it's like, I already had that taken care of. Trust me.
Yeah, but from his side of heaven, he sees our choices before we make them. That doesn't mean we're not making.
But I understand that. But when given the opportunity,
let's move on.
Oh no! You just open up a can of worms.
You agree?
I gotta put them all back.
You said sure. I see that.
Oh, I see. Okay, my bad. Your show.
Aren't we done?
You're absolutely right. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. So that's interesting that he brought that up there. That's just really complicated thing that he just kind of had all orchestrated.
He added a cog to the machine.
He sure worked that out. It's funny how Aaron, he didn't talk to Aaron either, by the way. He's not even talking to Aaron. He's just Moses. Aaron's just going to do whatever God said to do. He's just going to show up. Okay. I don't know why, but I feel compelled. I feel compelled to do this. Mm-hmm.
I know. What if he got there and Aaron's like, "What? Me? No."
Yeah. So
what about your sister?
so this plan only works if Aaron says yes.
Well, again, I even hate the word plan because God is outside of time. Although I think somebody in the chat mentioned, like, if you're using plan in the sense of blueprints, right? It's different than plan in the sense of when we think of plan, it's like, I intend on doing this thing and hoping that it works, right? That to us, that's a plan. But if you're thinking of it from God's perspective, a plan would be like blueprints because he sees the end from the beginning because he's outside of time.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you can't thwart what God sees has already been done.
Yeah, but then that means that
doesn't mean that God made the choices that you're making for you.
The problem is he had already planned before the foundations of the world to send a Christ to solve the problem. So he still inserted himself because when man
even that is using time-bound language that didn't exist in eternity. There's no before or after or planning in eternity.
Okay. He has to speak in those terms to us.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's trying to express an eternal perspective to a linear creature.
Right. So he's not bound by the linear creature's intent. Correct. By any stretch. He's made the plans. He structured the organization. And that's why in some cases, while he says his will that no one should stumble or fail or die.
That's right.
But many do, except for the ones that he chooses not to fall off the cliff. This is how it goes. So Moses went and returned to Jethro. Jethro is a good word. And thou shalt take this rod in thy hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. If Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law and said unto him, Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt. and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses and Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life.
It's been 40 years.
I know, I like to read it like that, though, like you did it just now. And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine
No,
hand.
you missed 20.
Oh, I thought I read it.
No, you said thy
Oh,
life.
you keep skipping with the red, man. I'm trying to read.
I'll just undo that. So here, you go
Yeah, and
ahead.
Moses took his wife and his sons, and set them up on ass.
Upon an ass.
Oh,
Up an ass is a totally different statement.
and he returned to the land of Egypt, and Moses took the rod of God in his hand. The Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand, but I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. No commentary. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, hardened heart Pharaoh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
I will point out, it does say this, but in
Oh, wow. Now you want to add a but?
in subsequent chapters,
Oh, Lord.
Pharaoh hardens his own heart.
Yes. It's not that hard for Pharaoh to harden his heart. Everyone is born in sin. So from my perspective, it's
We already have a heart of stone.
What God has to do, that's to me the complication that everybody sees. It's always, people always want to assume that we're just neutral beings. We're not neutral. We choose it. As soon as we're born, no one's taught to steal a cookie out of a cookie jar. That's the desire of our heart, even from very young. No one has to teach you to say no when your mom says go to your room or stop, it's time to go to bed. We do that automatically. We're asserting our will, and our will is always antithetical to the author, to authority.
No, it's not.
Of course it is.
No,
of course it is.
Really?
You have to teach your child to do right.
Do you have to teach your children how to love?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
You don't have to give them, you can't teach them the affection.
Do you have to teach your children how to share?
Yes. Yes.
You've had kids, right?
Yes, this is how I know. I know you have more than I do, but maybe your kids were blessed ones.
No, because sometimes they will share, and sometimes they will hoard, sometimes they will love, and sometimes they will anger or hate. We are made in the image and likeness of God.
All
you
you're
want
describing,
to discount that and say all of our choices are evil.
all you're describing,
otherwise. That's completely wrong.
Well, that's funny because that's what Paul said. But I'm gonna let the Gospel of Mike stand on that one. We'll just keep going. So
let the gospel of reality, bro. I mean,
I'm sharing reality. I'm just saying that
I was having a discussion with Buddy Rabbit, bro. We have, that even people who are depraved, people who are heretics, people who they still commit acts that the Bible describes as the Spirit of God. Charity, love, patience,
all you're describing,
etc.
From my perspective, all you're describing is God's insertion of His will up and superseding our will. So we're not ultimately depraved to the point where nothing good happens. But what I'm saying is, if I had no other influence, I would always choose myself over it. It's just the fight or flight process.
What does the image and likeness of God mean to you?
He's given us that opportunity in the beginning, but because we are broken, which is why we needed a new Adam. The first Adam failed, and so because of the first Adam, we all tumble behind him. That's what the curse is called. That's why we needed a second Adam, a new representative to set all the stuff straight. So now we don't even have to do it the way we were supposed to do it in the Old Testament. All we now have to do is put our trust in Jesus Christ and that he becomes our righteousness, not the burning of bulls, not the pouring of blood on the mercy seat. He is the mercy seat. He is the mercy seat and the blood. So now if I trust in him, I'll have to just believe in my heart the Lord Jesus and confess with my mouth that God raised him from the dead, and I shall be saved. But but I think think
can
we're
you choose to
describing
do that?
not on my own, actually. Not on my own, which is why it's so easy to choose to sin again and again and again.
I know, but I don't know. I think God created us in his image and likeness. He didn't just create Adam in his image and likeness. We are in the image and likeness of God, and because of that, the things that we do that are of God come from that image and likeness.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that. I actually believe that we're not that far off from each other. It's just there's some. It's just like the idea of where we're coming from as far as it's just the way we see it from this point of view. It's like some of the conversations we've had before, like that. Like I don't want to get all weird about some things, but like there's the way we see it. Yes, I said yes, but as the way it's described in the New Testament, before I could even say yes, he loved me first. He chose me first. I couldn't even pick him without him choosing me. But then we would say, the Calvinists will say that's election. You would say, well, that was free will. I think they're both accurate. In that moment, I exerted a free will.
I believe they're both accurate too, but because I see it believe, like again, the eternal perspective trying to be expounded through linear.
But what it sounds like, the problem I have with the Arminian is they're arguing a perspective of ultimate free will, and I don't believe we have ultimate free will.
I think God can interject. I just don't think it's the norm. Like he hardens Pharaoh's heart. He can harden anyone's heart anytime he wants, right? He can direct people, but it was like I said yesterday, you know what? People generally don't walk on water. That doesn't mean God can't allow people or make people to walk on water.
You have to make them to walk on water because it's not their nature to do it.
Right.
So it's not so while I was made in the image of God, unlike Jesus, I don't have his nature.
You don't
have I have his spirit dwelling in me, which is in conflict with my nature, which is why I still need to be redeemed every day. I still need to choose him all the time. When they're given the opportunity, I'm the only reason why I'm choosing not to sin is because the temptation is set before me and I'm willing to do it. So the real question is, what can overcome even my own will? The will of God can. The Spirit of God can.
I believe, Lord, help me my unbelief.
But the people that don't have the Spirit of God, they always choose to rebel. And so it's not, and it doesn't mean that they rebel.
Again,
no, but hold on.
They don't.
But hold on. But they can't. So it's funny you say that, because now what you've just described is that they may not be, if God gave them a paper test, choose life or choose death. But let's just say choose A or B, and B was death, they'd always circle B. But they wouldn't call it death. They're like, I want to do my own thing, man. What does God call that? That's called death to him. But they don't call it that. They call I'm being free. That's why Satanists exist, because they think they're being free.
Yeah, no, that's why I just keep going back to the I mean, it's the Bible that says, and I wish I could quote it exactly, but that there are actions or whatever, like love and patience, and the Bible says that can't be done without God, right?
Right, I agree.
So people do have God in some weird, I wouldn't even know how to describe it. It's not.
I think it's still
saved, but they are acting in God's love. It's
I believe, but acting in God's love doesn't always mean. This is the irony, right? Because the argument is that the argument against Calvinism is that we're just automatons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, But that's the
It
thing,
depends on what Calvinist you're talking to.
right? But let's say, for example,
Hey, Kirby.
like if I'm talking to, well, okay, let's take the example of Pharaoh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think this is simple. Pharaoh is going to harden his heart for sure, but God is taking credit for that, because when Pharaoh sees it, remember as the story goes, once the firstborn is killed, Pharaoh makes that choice, like, get out of here, right? But then, and that's a devastating thing. But then he goes after them. You would think that he'd be like, yo, this is crazy. But every time, and everything that's happening is just making it worse and worse and worse, because he's just grinding and grinding in his own, stewing his own juices. And the one thing that could easily break him of that's like my own son. Like in that moment, that should have been like, oh my gosh, what has happened? But instead, he turns back. He just rages again. He rages again. He just follows through, even though he just learned the lesson. Moses is God, just told you to do these things, and you
Isn't it
rebelled.
astonishing how many people you know in real life just like that, though?
I'm like that sometimes. I'm like that usually, actually.
Yeah.
But I tell you, but like I said, this is why I feel like, it's not necessary for, it's frustrating to me that we have so much like arguments about these things, which is why I don't think we've ever discussed it, because I think until recently when you brought it up, and all of a sudden you were astonished that I'm a Calvinist. What's wrong?
Yeah, because you never ever talked like you're a Calvinist. Like everything, we agree on everything.
because in a certain sense, everything you're saying is, well, anyway, most of the way we talk about things is always in that region of we're just trying to figure out, like, is Batman Bruce Wayne or is Bruce Wayne Batman? That's really what but in the end, it's still Bruce Wayne and Batman, right?
Yeah.
So whether or not, if I'm wrong, then nothing changes. If you're wrong, nothing changes.
Right.
God's still God.
It's just so weird that it's a non-essential, and yet people have killed each other over it.
That's true. It's like John Mintz just wrote, I don't see this as an argument, it's a discussion. But that's also true. That's a discussion right here. But you'd be surprised how this has been
people have killed each
thing.
other over this.
Yeah. So, and even in my time as that I've spent,
in fact, what's his face? John Calvin even helped get a guy burned at the stake over this.
There you go.
As a heretic.
Meanwhile, Martin Luther was beating himself until he started to understand grace, and then he said, I don't have to beat myself anymore. So it's just, how do you take all this stuff and how do you package it differently for each other? I think in the end, I think with wisdom, looking back, I wasn't living in Calvin's day or Luther's day, and I can only imagine. You can only imagine that this idea that Luther was espousing was so different and so radical that, I mean, he's saying these things against the Catholic Church, which has
which he didn't even want to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
And it came with a tidal wave of rules and regulations that he was railing against.
Like,
so it wasn't
guardrails.
Right. Well, these were extra guardrails that said if you break this guardrail, you broke that guardrail.
Guardrails in front of guardrails, right? Mm-hmm.
Right. So now you can't even you can't even play the next game because you broke these other guardrails that have nothing to do with the rules anyway. By the way, that was just house rules for that particular bowling league.
Yeah.
And so they're saying you can never bowl again.
You know what it's like? It's like those little slides they use for children who want to, you know what I mean? Have you been to a bowling alley lately? They have these little slides. You put the slide up to the thing, and then you aim it and drop that's on top of the guardrails.
Well, I was gonna say that's free will. You can still miss it. You can still miss it. But anyway, I'm just making the point that without the Reformation and without these ideas being expressed and challenging that, we would all be Catholics still. arguing in this and that way. And I don't have anything necessarily against my Catholic friends. I'm just saying that wherever we are in this process, I think I've said this a lot of times before. When we get to heaven, we're all going to be very surprised about what was true and what wasn't true after all.
Yeah,
but I do think
none of us are 100% right.
But delving into to John Mintz's point, delving into these ideas, if you're doing it the right way, it should draw us closer to the heart of God anyway. Because what we're really trying to understand is, what is God's intent? What does God want from us? And how important? I mean, so really, Mike, as we're arguing these ideas, we're really saying, how important is it for us to obey God, and how important is it to God that we operate from His perspective, and what are we really doing? Are we really doing it for our sake, or are we doing it for His sake? Is these expressions of the good news changing anyone's mind, or is it just He just wants us to be the mouth, just like Aaron and Moses? He just wants us to be the mouthpiece, and He's going to walk with us, and we're going to say these things, even if we understand them completely or not. And so, yeah, I think the discussion of it really is about trying to understand God's heart for that, and then what is His heart to go.
Well, if I can put this in a sort of a way that people understand, what God wants is for us to drop the guardrails.
Oh, that's beautiful, Michael.
And
I like how you brought it back to the circle.
Aim right down the middle, because that's the heart of the gospel. And are you going to throw a few gutter balls? Yes, but that's just life.
Amen.
Right? That's it. We're over an hour.
Wow.
Thank you, Elliot. I know this went so fast. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
I almost want to do longer, but I'm trying to keep these to an hour.
That's good.
Love you, brother. And God bless us, everyone. Sorry I didn't get into the chat too much today, but this was too much fun with Elliot. So sorry. If you are new, please do like, subscribe, share. Somebody drop the Discord link in so we can continue these discussions. We've been having some great discussions in the Cross Examinations channel on the Discord. Yeah, love you all. Peace out, and we'll see you all in the next exciting episode of Cross Examination. Say goodbye, Elliot.
Goodbye, Elliot.
Back in line, you dog! On your feet! Get them going!